And we are live. Okay, so we're just going to wait for people to come on now, so they'll get their notifications to tell them that we're on. And Damien's on. Hello, Damien. So down here you'll see the people as they Richard. Hello, Richard. Evening. Hello, Richard. Another Richard Harrison. How you doing, Richard? Philip, how are you? We'll just wait till we get, let's say, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 or 10 people on, and then we'll start running through. While we're waiting for people to come on, hi Damien. Philip, all right? Apologies for being a little bit late. We had planned to do this from our local gym, but hi Kerry. The gym had a class running, so we've come back to my house, and we're going to run the session here. Let me first of all introduce Sandra.
Hi.
Sandra's a good friend of mine. She's she's a sports therapist, and she's helped me personally with some strains, aches and pains over the years, and thought it'd be a really good idea to bring Sandra in to talk to us all about occupational health and the health issues with being a driving instructor and sitting down for many hours of the day, and how that can affect us short term and long term. So, okay, we've got quite a few people here. We're going to start the session by just me really asking Sandra some questions, bit of a Q&A session really. If while we're sat here, Brian, hello Brian. If while we're sat here, any of you have got any questions that you want to ask, then obviously type away. Sandra will hopefully be able to answer your questions. If you have any questions you think about after the session's completed, then again, just message me and I can ask Sandra for her help. So first of all, Sandra.
Hello.
So we as driving instructors spend multiple hours in the car, obviously sat down quite often. Talk us through some of the health problems, short-term, long-term, that we might experience just through sitting down for those periods of time.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Well, sitting, whether it's in a car or sat at a desk all day, is you basically get the same issues. In a car, obviously, you can't get up and walk around as much. So if you're sat for long periods of time, you will get very sore, stiff, very painful, and it builds up. Obviously, if you're spending hours and hours and hours every day, the stress on your muscles alone will then impinge on your back, your neck, your head. Basically, the biggest issue with back problems is very tight hip flexors. And that is purely down to your posture and sitting for long periods of time. It can be the way you sit at an angle, watching your clients, whether you are tilted. It's going to have a whole impact on curving your spine. Your nerves will become entrapped because your muscles are very, very tight. And if you don't get up after, say, an hour, 2 hours, walk around, stretch, it impacts big time.
Okay. So typically what sort of long-term effects could that have on somebody?
You get chronic back pain, lower back pain. Mm-hmm. It will pull your vertebrae because as your hip flexors tighten, your extensor muscles, which are all the way down your spine, stretch. And when they stretch, they'll pull the attachment points on the vertebrae and therefore then impinge the discs. Your discs get squashed.
Okay.
And with the vibration of the car, movement laterally, forward, backward, you are going to wear those discs out quicker. Okay. And with the nerve impingement, you end up with sciatica and compromised circulation.
Okay, thank you. Richard Harrison has asked a question.
Hello, Richard.
Halfway through a day, I get a dull pain through my upper leg and into my hip. So
the back of your leg?
Yeah, so let's see now. Yeah, so
over the upper leg into
and into his hip.
Yeah, basically you've got classic, very tight hip flexors. Also, if you're sitting at an angle, it's going to twist your hips. Your pelvis is going to be slightly tilted. You're probably impinging on nerves as well.
Okay, so I think what we aim to do this evening, everybody, is Sandra's very kindly put together some diagrams for us. We've got some diagrams behind the laptop here that we're gonna run through with you. So she could actually, would you be able to point out on your anatomy there, your diagram that we've got behind what you mean by hip flexors, what that actually is? Yes, possibly. Definitely. And then what we're going to do, or what Sandra's going to do, is to show you all some sort of light stretches that we can do. Nothing too strenuous. It's not a fitness session. It's literally just some very light stretches that most of us should be able to do, unless you have any health issues that preclude you from doing this. Most of us should be able to do this. When would you suggest? How often should we stop? How often should we get out of the car? Should we do anything in the morning before we get in the car?
Obviously, time is a big factor for everybody.
Yeah.
But most people shower in the morning. Your body's then warm. The best time is to get out of bed, stretch out, especially your neck. You know, you can easily just stretch to one side, stretch to the other side, stretch this way, but make sure you keep your nose in line with your elbow. Obviously, do it equally on both sides. You can do side bends in the shower just to loosen up your spine and your erector spinae and your abdominals. Also, you can stretch out your calves, your thighs, and hip flexors. Hip flexors are the most important. Okay,
so I think that's what Sandra will demonstrate shortly, is possibly some stretches we can do first thing in the morning, time efficient, because some of us are in a bit of a rush to get out the door. So maybe in the shower, like Sandra said, when you're warm under the warm water, and then maybe some stretches midway through the day whenever we get a break. If you take a lunch break, some stretches then, and then some at the end of the day. Do you think?
I would say get out, walk around every 2 hours.
Every 2 hours.
In between clients, if you can, even better. Just get out the car, walk about, and stretch.
Okay.
Because you're more likely, when you sit for long periods of time, you end up slouching because you just compromise your sitting position.
Yeah.
And you'll find you're slouching forward.
Okay.
If you don't have your bottom placed right to the back of the chair, the seat in the car, your spine will end up curving. Okay. This is where you then stretch all the glute muscles, which then pull on the back.
Okay.
Okay, so that is what strains the back.
Okay, so what we're going to do now is Sandra's put together some diagrams. So I think what Sandra can do is she can point at the diagram she's got behind this laptop now, just to point out the areas, the problematic areas, and then we're going to move to actually showing you, Sandra's going to show you some actual stretches that we can all carry out simply during the day. Okay?
Yeah.
Right.
The stretches are something really you should do every day.
Yeah.
Because you are sitting for long periods of time.
Okay. So I'm going to try and move the laptop now so that we can get all these diagrams in shot. So bear with us. Okay. Okay, right, so. Okay, that's hopefully you can all see that. That's all in shot, and hopefully you can still hear us. So Sandra, like, if you would be able to go there. So when we talk about problematic areas, so we've got the diagram. Yeah. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Great. So when we're talking about certain problematic areas, show us where that might be.
Okay, your hip flexors obviously are all these muscles along here, and they attach obviously to the front of your pelvis and some to the rear, sort of at the top of your hips. So if you are sat, all of these shorten and then pull on the pelvis, and eventually it will affect your knees as well. So if you're sat in a car for long periods of time, all your quad muscles will shorten, only slightly, but it doesn't have to be much to make a big difference. It will then pull on your knees as well. And the biggest area, obviously, your glutes. These will stretch, and therefore pulling on all the attachment points along your spine.
I think also, if I could ask Sandra, I mean, you know that I've had problems with my Achilles tendons here. What I tend to do quite often if I'm with certain new drivers is I might cover my dual control. So I'm actually having to physically hold my right foot up. And I find that my Achilles tendon is quite sore at the end of a session like that. Is there anything that I could do pre and post a lesson like that?
It's all about relaxing while you're sat there,
right,
and not having your foot sort of kept at an angle.
Right.
That's going to compromise. Obviously, again, you're lengthening these, shortening the front of the foot, and therefore it's going to actually just cause a lot of problems because these start to shorten.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
And therefore you're overstretching the Achilles as well.
Okay. All right. So what we'll do now is move the laptop round back to where we were. So if you want to, if any of you want to, Sandra's going to do an actual demonstration now of some really easy, light stretches that we can all do. And I'll move it hopefully, to where we can all see it. And while she's demonstrating, she can actually talk us through what area of the body this is helping. I'll try and get the laptop in the best position. If any of you want to to follow what Sandra's doing, feel free. Obviously, find somewhere, plenty of space. If not, don't worry. This video will stay on the Facebook page, so you can refer back to it at any time you want to. Any time. Right. So, Sandra, let's see. Let's put you in put the laptop in the best position for you. Okay. So,
okay, can you all see me?
Hopefully you can all see Sandra. Say if you can't.
Try and stay in view. Okay. The best ones primarily for your hip flexors are obviously quad stretches. And I will turn to the side so you can actually see how I'm straightening around the front. You can also do this taking one leg back, dropping your knee, which stretches out the front of the hip flexors. Okay, always repeat it on the other side. So you do both sides equally. So you're dropping and stretching the hip flexors, quad stretching. Okay, other one to do your Achilles, as Jason was saying. I don't know if you can see this one.
I can just put the laptop on there.
Take your leg back one way. So you are stretching the back foot and just bending the front leg so you're stretching forwards. Keep your heel on the floor. And then you can bend and soften the knee. And this will stretch out the soleus muscles as well. Always repeat on the other side. Soften the knee, stretch out the soleus. Okay, while you're sat with it down. A really good one to do for your back. Cross your one leg over, place your arm across your knee, support your back nice and straight, and twist in the opposite direction. This stretches out the hips, the glutes, and the pelvis. Obviously repeat on the other side. Hold stretches for a few seconds and release. Another good, if you can reach your toes. If you can't, then you've got very, very tight back muscles. So touch your toes, just relax down.
So Sandra, are we suggesting that this would be some good stretches to do maybe at the end of the day, after a day in the car?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll show you some quick ones you can do in between clients as well. Okay. Hug your knees. That always helps your lower back. Sway back. Hug your knees. Take your legs to one side. Come to the centre. And drop your knees to the other side. Okay. You can then turn on the floor and arch your back. Okay. That's what I'm trying to do.
Okay. So those are, I think, some stretches that we would recommend you doing at the end of the day. Midway through the day, obviously when we're quite time stretched, Sandra, what could we do if we just literally had a 15-minute gap between one lesson and another?
Yeah, literally they just take a few minutes. The best ones to do would be just release your neck, stand up nice and tall, tilt your head to one side, keep your ear in line with the shoulder, tilt to the other side, push down. This really releases your shoulders and your neck. And keep your nose in line with your elbow and just very gently pull your neck down. And obviously then repeat on the other side. You can just stand there, hold a car, hold the door, do the hip flexor stretch. And repeat on the other side.
So I think, using the car door would be ideal there, wouldn't it, to stabilise yourself?
Side bends. And then a quick Achilles stretch, where you just take your leg back. And repeat on the other side. And if your upper back is aching, just hug and round your back. And squeeze your shoulder blades together. Stand tall. And then relax. Basic stretches, which stretches like whole back, neck, shoulders, hip flexors, calves and Achilles. And you can do that. How long does it take? A couple of minutes in between each client.
Yeah. Generally we do, we make our way to a client and we would hope to get some time before the lesson starts. Yeah. So I think
even just walking around improves circulation, gets the blood flowing, because once you're sat down in a car, circulation is compromised, blood flow is compromised, especially if your seat catches the back of your knee. You can get blood pooling in the legs. So it's really important to get up and walk around.
Okay. I thought at this point, if you didn't mind, Sandra, I didn't actually warn you, but I just thought about this. Do you want to explain what that is to
Yes.
to everybody? Because that's mine, which I use. But what is that? How do you use
It's torture. That's what it is. It's torture. Okay, I'll show you how to use these.
So
This is a foam roller, and this is an excellent way to foam roll your back, shoulders, your legs, your calves. It's as good as, not quite as good as, but as good as a massage.
yeah. So I mean that's mine. You can pick those up relatively cheaply these days. In fact, occasionally I see them in Lidl.
Lidl's, yes. Lidl's.
So you don't necessarily. Mine's quite an aggressive one because I do a little bit of running and stuff. So
Looks like a darling.
mine's quite painful, but you can buy them that are less aggressive. I would definitely recommend a bit of foam rolling, and Sandra will be able to demonstrate how we use
I
it.
should make you do it.
I don't mind. Or you could tell me how to use it. You can tell me.
Okay. Right, the best way to roll out your calves is literally you're putting all your body weight pressure along your calf. If I go to the side, maybe you can see better. So you can roll the full length.
What's the benefit of doing this, Sandra?
It's as good as what we call myofascial release. So it actually really helps the muscles to go back to their normal elasticity.
Okay.
It breaks down any adhesions, any knots within the muscle, and it actually is quite relaxing, although it looks quite aggressive.
Okay.
Okay. You can then do the back of the knee all the way up to the hamstrings and the glutes. And they're very good for actually sitting on, and you cross your leg and then literally roll it. If you've got tight pelvis, tight glutes.
So is this something Richard Harrison asked a question earlier, which I
think he's got tight fronts of the legs.
here's a tight, right,
Yeah.
okay.
So again, you can turn onto your front and just roll on your thighs.
Okay.
And you can roll right over to your hip flexors.
Okay. So would you recommend that might be something that
These
Richard...
are excellent.
Yeah.
Really are excellent.
So Richard, if you want to get yourself a foam roller, if you can't find one, you can borrow mine. But they are definitely worth investing in one, I would say.
But Richard needs to stretch out the hip flexors.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So for him, anything, that is an excellent one. It's quite aggressive, but it really does stretch the inside.
Okay. Excellent. Okay. All right.
And obviously using the back, you literally just foam roll your back.
Great.
Okay.
Okay. Fantastic. Right. Okay. We're just going to set the laptop back up on the table then. Okay. So we do. So thank you, Sandra. Take a seat from the laptop. So Sandra's very kindly also put together, I'll just show you some sheets which she's going to email me here. If you can see that. So don't panic, I'm not going to, Sandra's going to email me both that sheet there, which you won't have time to read, but don't panic because I'm going to post them on the page once Sandra's, and that one there. So there's some really useful exercises and also some things to consider when you're carrying out your exercises. So we'll just spend the next, just literally a couple of minutes now because I'm going to wrap it up in a second, but we're back on the chairs now. So if anyone has any questions, now would be the time to type them in. I'm going to see before we. Hello, Anne. before we wrap up the session, again, if you've got anything that you think about after we've stopped the session, message me. I see and speak to Sandra all the time, so I can always ask her on your behalf. Hopefully you found that interesting. Sandra, you got anything else to add to that, really?
Was anybody got any direct questions?
Don't think so.
No.
Everyone seems quite happy. Sandra has very kindly given up her time. If any of you want to contact Sandra directly, if any of you have got any aches, pains, or problems, by all means, Sandra said it's fine for you to message her directly. It's Sandra Anstey. She is on Facebook. She has a so you operate in Lifton. Matt Luxton's fitness studio. So either contact Sandra directly. Like I say, she's in Lifton. So if you have any aches, pains, you need any massage or any sort of therapy, then
I'll pass you on my contact number.
Yeah, I can post up Sandra's details. I don't know what that is on the. Just get rid of that. So the driving instructor. So yeah, so hopefully that was useful for you all. This will remain on the page. This will also go onto our YouTube channel. If you find the YouTube channel, do like it. And sorry, that's one of my driving instructor there. If you do like the YouTube channel, we're going to be posting lots more videos on there, useful content. We're not just going to keep it to standard check test and CPD. We're going to do stuff like this regularly, which is a bit different to what everybody else does. Okay, so hopefully you've all enjoyed that. You've had a go, and the video will remain on the site. So see you all later. Sorry. Speak to you all later.
Thank you.
Bye now. And